So I think the easiest way I can explain function notation is to go back to something we've already done. We've had equations in the past like y equals 3x plus 1, and we graphed those, and we talked about the slope and the intercept and things like that. And as long as the slope is not undefined, this graphs to be a linear equation, and it's a function. It's a linear function, is what it is. So what we do is the input is x and the output is y. That's the input and the output. To write it in function notation, then we write f of x equals 3x plus 1. This represents the input. And you're going to get out f of x is y, the output. So it's like you're taking the y out and you're replacing it with f of x. Now, I'm going to say that, I keep kind of saying it so you'll understand what I'm saying, but I'm saying f of, the word of, x. That's how we read this. It's not f times x, it's f of x, okay? Meaning it's a function in terms of the variable, the input variable, which in this case is x, okay? Now, it doesn't have to be f, and it doesn't have to be x. We're going to see some other things, but generally, and especially when we're first getting started, we use a lot of f of x notation, okay? All right, but they give us some examples here. It says, use function notation to represent a function whose input is the name of the month. We're going to use m for the name of the month, and then the output is the number of days in the month. So the output is going to be d. All right, so what they're talking about here is, let's say you know January has 31 days, and February, if it's not a leap year, has 28 days, and March has 31 days. And you could keep going through that, right, so you had all 12 of them. But now we're going to write it as a function. So the month, that's going to be the input, and the days, that's going to be the output. So it's going to be d of m, that's the output. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm going to just erase that. We're just going to say d is equal to, the function of m, okay? Now, we don't know what that is. We can say, well, d equals f of January, and f of January equals 31. You say something like that, okay? But this then is the function notation that we're talking about. If you don't understand that, don't worry about it too much, okay? Because we're going to do other things. Okay, so in the next example, they're going to give us the notation, and then we have to interpret it. Okay, it says a function n equals f of y. N equals f of y. It gives the number of police officers, n, in a town in a year, y. So the input is the y. That's the year. So in 1999, there were so many police officers. N is the output, and it's the number of police officers. Okay, what does f of 2005 equal 300 represent? Well, this is the year, 2005 is the year, and n, that's the 300, that's the number of police officers. So I guess to put it in a nice sentence, you could say, well, that equation then, this equation that we have, it means that in 2005, there were 300 police officers in some town. They don't tell us what town. Okay, but that's what that is, and that's how we're interpreting it. They give us the year, and then the output was the number of police officers.